not
Oh,
gonna be
you're
here
Washington.
tonight?
I don't know, he's got
Not answering you anymore?
his child's playing
Okay,
volleyball.
ready?
He's not answering you anymore?
Don't know.
Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, please.
Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Monday, September 16th, 7 p.m. Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Obermark.
Aye.
Hatke. Pettit.
Here.
Scornia.
Yes.
Sullentrup.
Here.
Wessels.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meeting dated September 3rd, 2019? Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Obermark.
Aye.
Pettit.
Yes.
Scornia.
Yes.
Sullentrup.
Yes.
Wessels.
Yes.
Having read the minutes, are there any comments or questions? Any corrections?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Pettit, seconded by Holtmeyer, to approve the minutes from our last meeting dated September 3rd, 2019. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the minutes. Thank you.
Approval and adjustment of agenda, including consent agenda. On your consent agenda, you have the 2019 Fall Cleanup, Paint Up, and Fix Up campaign.
Okay. So it's October 14th through the 18th, which means there'll be big trash after.
Make a motion.
Right?
That's right.
Followed by the big trash. So,
Make a motion.
anyway.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Obermark, to approve the items on the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the items. Thank you.
Public hearings, fiscal year 2019-2020 budget of the City of Washington, Missouri.
You have your budget information. We had a budget workshop back in August, just to give the general public some highlights of what's included within that. There's a 6% increase for health insurance estimate that would be effective in February. You've got the potential for wage increases for the employees of up to 2.8%. Which includes a 1.8% cost of living adjustment with the ability to get up to a 1% merit based on performance evaluations. Added positions, there's a new part-time clerical position that was added to the fire department with an increase of wages and benefits of $15,000. That's to help go ahead and help with moving forward the commercial occupancy program that the building department started earlier this year. No deleted positions. We've got a conservative 1% increase over sales tax based over last year's estimated amounts. But you've got total capital expenditures of $7.2 million for 2020. So, unless you have any questions, that's kind of an overview of what we expected it within the budget for this year.
Any questions or comments?
Make a motion.
Okay, this is a public
invite public
hearing,
hearing. You wanna
so
take
hold
comments?
on. So is there anyone in the audience this evening who would like to address the council on this item?
How's your chance, Greg?
Somebody left, I guess not.
Guess not. It's that good.
Okay. Okay, so now,
Make a
Second.
motion.
okay, we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Holtmeyer, to approve, to accept the budget into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you accepted the item. Thank you.
An ordinance approving the budget of the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri for the fiscal year 2019-2020.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilmember Holtmeyer. This is the ordinance that follows the previous item. So, any questions or comments? Okay.
An ordinance approving the budget of the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri for the fiscal year 2019-2020. Obermark.
Aye.
Scornia.
Yes.
Sullentrup.
Yes.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Wessels.
Yes.
Heidrich.
Aye.
Pettit.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the budget. Excuse me, I guess you approve the ordinance. So, anyway.
Special use permit, vacation rental, 823 West Second Street.
That's by my house.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
All right, so this is another request for short-term lodging, or Airbnb, as they're more commonly known. This particular property is located at 823 West Second. You can see it is just east of the intersection of High Street and Second Street. This is just down the street from the International Shoe Factory on Second Street. The surrounding property is zoned, the subject property and the surrounding property is zoned R2 overlay, which does allow for single-family and two-family uses. There are a number of two-family uses directly to the east. There's one, and I believe this one directly to the across the street to the south is also two-family. So there are some rental units directly in the vicinity. However, we are not aware of any of the homes currently being utilized as short-term lodging. All of them that we know of, according to our occupancy permits, are 30 days or more. Subject property, single-story structure. They do not actually have any off-street parking. This driveway just to the west is actually on the neighboring property. So this would require on-street parking. However, there's not a requirement of our code to require them to have off-street parking for this. Again, these uses are typically infrequent in use and do not typically disturb the surrounding property, so we are recommending approval. They will have to set up a business license, an occupancy inspection, and sign up for the bed tax as per usual. So,
Is there any questions from planning and zoning?
no. No one came and spoke in favor or against at planning and zoning, and it did pass unanimously.
Any questions or comments from council members?
I make a motion to accept it in the minutes if we don't have anything other else.
Yes, is there anyone else here who would like to address the council on this item?
How many bedrooms is that?
You know, I don't have that.
You don't know?
2.
2 or 3 would be my guess.
You know,
2?
two. Okay, so we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Holtmeyer, to accept this item into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you accepted the item. Thank you.
An ordinance granting a special use permit to utilize 823 West Second Street as a vacation rental in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Salandrop.
Introduced by Councilman Sullentrup. This is the ordinance that follows the previous item. Any questions or comments?
An ordinance granting a special use permit to utilize 823 West Second Street as a vacation rental in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Obermark,
Yes.
Scornia,
Yes.
Sullentrup,
Yes.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Wessels,
Yes.
Heidrich,
Aye.
Pettit.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Citizens' comments?
Is there anyone here this evening who would like to address the council on any item that is not on the agenda? Okay.
Report of department heads, 2019 parking lot asphalt overlay project.
John?
Yes, good evening, council. As you are aware, the engineering department, in conjunction with the Parks Department, went out to bid to complete some asphalt overlays on various parking lots within the city. One was the Waterworks building. Another one was Lafayette Park. There's a small park on Lafayette Street here next to 3rd Street. I'm sorry, 2nd Street. And the other one was this Jasper parking lot, which is right here on Lafayette, and then also the dog park. So I was working with Wayne on getting these budgeted. The idea was that once the budget was approved and in effect on October 1st, that we would award the contract and move forward. As you can see, the estimate that we put forth and the bids that came in were much different. The bids were way higher than what I anticipated. With that, and working with Wayne and the street department, we actually narrowed down the scope of work on 2 of those parking lots, one being this, like I said, Jasper parking lot right here, and the other one being the dog park, just to see if we could self-perform some of those duties. Initially, the manpower is short, but we think we can try to fit it in. We do have a paver that we're going to be renting and coming into town to do a repair on the riverfront, the lower riverfront parking lot, once the river does recede. So we thought that that would be an opportunity for us to self-perform some of these things. That's what we're proposing to do, is to reject all the bids for this project and self-perform 2 of the parking lots. The Waterworks parking lot and the Lafayette one, we're going to be doing, we will do some pothole repairs, things of that nature, and reevaluate next spring. And then if there is another larger paving project, we would try to maybe incorporate those at that time. Current estimate on the Jasper parking lot is $12,000 for material only. And the other one, the dog park, is somewhere around $16,000 is what we're estimating them at. So you can kind of see that's a pretty large difference. And we're pretty confident we can get this done. Most likely won't begin till the 1st of October, and then the paver will be in town, like I said, for 2 to 3 weeks.
How big of a parking lot down to dog park?
How big of a parking lot? I think it's 10 parking stalls. Correct me if I'm wrong, Wayne, but 10 parking stalls. It does include a sidewalk. Right now, there's a gravel, like a granite-style rock stone sidewalk. Those will be poured in concrete. The Parks Department's doing that, along with an ADA sidewalk and then 2 ADA stalls to the west, kind of closer to the.
You do have a
fence area.
driveway going around over to the ADA stuff.
We do, yes. There's some pretty large grade differences, and rather than having like a switchback, like a
That part of the old road?
yes, correct.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's a 10.
And then it would go down there to the west, where the dog park is now, the west end of it, where I believe, Wayne, that's where also where the little dog park is going to be added to, on the west end of that.
No, on the east side, the little dog park.
Come up to the microphone, please.
The small dog park, or small dog section will be on the east side, the large, so what we're taking away from
that's right,
the
the large
large,
adding
then we'll
over there.
shift,
That's
that
right.
area will shift over to the west side then.
Sorry.
So they're not losing any large dog space, so.
But the asphalt work will take that roadway and go over there so that you've got 2 ADA compliant.
In addition, with this parking lot on Lafayette Street, we initially had some stairs that were incorporated to walk from that lower lot up to this upper lot up here. We are taking those out as well. That's something we cannot self-perform. However, if we ever wanted to put those in, it's just a separate bid item on a different project. So I'm not overly concerned with doing that. So trying to get the scope kind of smaller so we can self-perform this and get some of these things done this year.
Did anybody say why their numbers were higher? Did you talk to any of the bidders? They just too busy and just-
You know, I didn't. The strategy there was, and it was to hope that we could get some smaller paving contractors that come in and do some of the work. If you look at the bidders, that obviously was not the case. These are more, for lack of better terms, heavy civil or roadway type contractors, and I don't think they're necessarily. That's not really their bread and butter to do those type of things. My guess is it does play into just being late in the year as well. So we tried to break them out from the larger street project, which hopefully you'll approve later on, and that strategy just did not work. So we're going to see what we can do on our own and then repackage a couple of them up in the future.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Do
Or you have something else?
Yeah, I do have one more item. We also.
Excuse me, can we just accept that
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
first?
your motion. It's accepted in the minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Holtmeyer to accept and approve, accept the item into the minutes. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you accepted the item. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So we also last week received some bids or proposals from our solid waste departments, specifically the base bid being recycling, to see what some of the numbers would be to contract out recycling. We also had an alternate bid there for solid waste. We've been kind of looking at different options as far as the recycling department and trying to make it much more solvent. The city does subsidize that quite a bit, actually. So to see if somebody could come into town and allow us to save some money. We're still evaluating those. We do have a solid waste subcommittee that does meet. I have not reached out to you all yet if you're on that committee, but I will be doing so. And then we'll move forward with recommendation. That recommendation could be that we continue forth with what we do now. Some of the local recycling facilities has stopped taking cardboard. So we've seen a pretty large increase in cardboard at our recycling center. Tony and I have been working pretty diligently on how do we handle all that. And we've actually been turning some away if it is loose cardboard. So it is really starting to hit our recycling center and kind of keep things moving as fast as we can. But I'll keep you posted on what's going on. So we did receive those bids, but like I said, we won't have a recommendation until we all can meet in a smaller group.
More high school bonfires.
I say.
It does work well for that.
They
Yin and
still
the yang.
do that?
Matches in the budget.
I think the important thing here is we did get a number to at least identify what it does cost for recycling.
Yes.
And that's further down on the agenda tonight as well. But it did open your eyes to see what the actual real cost could be. So,
Anything else, John? Is that it?
no, that is it.
Okay, very good. Any comments or questions? Okay.
Ordinances, resolutions. An ordinance amending Section 130.170 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri, adding tennis court user fees and charges.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer. This is the,
These are
Others.
we have a fee committee that's a subcommittee of the Parks Board. They've been working over the last few months, and as we've been bringing forth their proposals, also taking them, Wayne's been taking it to the Park Board for their recommendation as well. So this is the latest. I think he got this item, A, and then B, which is the facilities. But first up was a simple change to your tennis court user fees.
okay, Wayne?
Now, Wayne, just a question, you probably answered anyway, but if you want to go down and play tennis, do you have to come by here, pay $5 first,
No.
and then go play tennis?
No, you can go. The $5 reserves if you want to be sure that no one else is using the court. If you want to be absolutely sure you get a court that day at that time, then you would come in and reserve it. Otherwise,
And who would enforce that time?
so we would give them a receipt, and then they would take the receipt out with them, and then if there was ever if they showed up and someone else was on their court, you can say, well, I paid for the court on this day at this time, and show them the receipt, and then if there's still a dispute, then they could call the office, and we could deal with it that way.
So you can reserve a court for $5?
Correct.
That seems awful cheap.
For an hour.
Yeah.
Damn.
We did a cost comparison. We were in range with some of the other municipalities. Jeff City was $4 per hour. Columbia goes all the way up to 15. O'Fallon was 10. And so we're proposing to raise, the non-lit fee from most users paid about $4, so raise it to $5. And then for a night game with lights, it would go from basically,
Bless you.
we had all these categories if you're a nonprofit and different things. So we're narrowing it down to two prices for the general public, a day fee and a night fee. And so the night fee would go up $1.02 from 9 to basically 10. So
Besides occasionally getting a individual or something that wants to reserve it, this is primarily for the our group, Franklin County Tennis Group that has a tournament here, I guess, once a year, and plus they've got league nights too, I think.
Wednesday
What do they
night.
play? Well, they pay $5 an hour and that's it?
If it's during the day, and then at night
If they would like it for reserve for that time frame, yeah.
So if somebody wants to just take a chance, go down there and play, they wouldn't pay anything.
Correct. Yeah. It'd be the same thing, like if you wanted to use one of the baseball fields up at the park, you just head out there with your son or daughter or whoever and take a chance. And so these have been reviewed by Park Board, and this was their recommendation, and so I'm looking for approval from you guys. And this would be the last sports related fee. And then we have the facility fees, and then I think we're covered. So last time any of these fees, facility or sports athletic fees were raised was March of 2011. So a lot of things have changed since that time, gas and everything else.
And the consensus of the public is okay?
Yes. I sent a letter to Franklin County or emailed Franklin County Tennis Association and just let them know that we're proposing this. I never did hear anything back from them, but
Good deal.
Sounds good.
Okay, any other questions? Okay,
An ordinance amending Section 130.170 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri, adding tennis court user fees and charges. Obermark?
Aye.
Scornia?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Pettit?
Yes.
by your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance amending Section 130.170 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri, adding facility user fees.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilman Patke. Okay.
all right.
Wayne?
So now we have the facility user fees, and so I emailed that information out, I guess, last week, midweek last week. There's a lot of information there to digest. Again, these, just like the sports fees, haven't been evaluated, or haven't been raised, I should say, or adjusted since March of 2011. And so what we did, we went through, we took comparisons for the different facilities. We contacted different places around town, looked at websites on different meeting places. We did pavilion rental. We did a little research with other municipalities on what they charge for pavilion rentals and packages. Most, like our, I guess, repeat renters, their fees, not all their fees, most of them will go up a little bit. A lot of that is due to key and damage deposits. So with the damage for like the senior center and auditorium, on the library cleaning bid, we did some bid alternates, and one of them was the cleaning of the senior center after rentals, and one of the other ones was cleaning of the auditorium after rentals. And so we have a set price from FKI Cleaning that we would pass on to the renter. It would be included in their damage and key deposit. For the senior center, it was $120, and for the auditorium, it was $150. And that would be passed on to the renter. And so you saw all the prices and how they went, may have increased, or a couple of them did decrease, but not many. Most of them were increased with the damage and key deposit. And then all the fees, the tennis fees and the facility fees we put the clause in there, just like we did with soccer and baseball, about the CPI index and being increased each year, possibly increased each year.
The only thing I would clarify, Wayne, is that within the fees, for example, for senior center and auditorium, those cleaning fees are within that fee. So when you pay $400 for the senior center, that includes the cleaning.
Okay.
Yes. There's not an option there of, oh yeah, I'll clean it myself or whatever. You pay that, it gets cleaned.
Correct. And so we're introducing them now with the new fiscal year. We're trying to get everything started off October 1st with the new fiscal year. So.
And all other entities that have rented these facilities up to this time, you know, if you pass this tonight and it takes effect October 1st, anybody up to this time had it at the old rates, et cetera, we guarantee those.
Starts in October.
Huh?
Starts in October.
It would start in October. The new rates would start in October, but anything that we've rented or they've got
Something that's already on the books.
already booked, they have it at the old
Cold
rate.
fee, yeah.
Even if it's after October?
Huh?
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
how they,
Yeah, we have some booked
Secured it.
already into 2020, different places, so.
Wayne, I mentioned to Chad, he came and presented some of the fees a month or two ago. And I mentioned to him, and I would pass it to you, I'm impressed that you you were able to get through all of these things, because I know they've been hanging out there a long time on some of these things, and to include so many of the groups that you did, you know, like the tennis group and so forth. And I think it's a job well done.
Yeah, when Park Board made their recommendation, there was some clapping at the end, because it's been going on for so long, which, you know, I haven't been here for very long, and so I didn't know. I mean, I knew it was going on for a long time, but
4 years.
they seem very happy to get it off their plate.
We also met
We are
with the
very-
senior center last week
Yes.
to discuss these changes or whatever. So, because there is a little bit of a different, especially with regards to the packages and the hours that you can go ahead. I think in the past, for example, on a Saturday, you could only do it for a 4 to 6 hour shift at a time. You couldn't rent it all day. There was a lot of limitations. So now we hope that we've lifted those, and people, if they want to, there's a package here for you if you want to do that.
Nice.
No truer words, Mark. I agree. I've made a lot of those fees meetings, and it's been a lot of them. And kudos to Wayne, and I appreciate the hard work, and his staff too. I mean, the emails and things like that have been well planned out. The other thing to notice is that when we originally started, we had like 6 or 8 different variations. Non-for-profit, profit this, in-town, out-of-town resident, and it was so cumbersome, and we streamlined it and made it right, in my opinion. So, again, kudos, and words are appreciated, no doubt, and it's definitely glad to be done. Get it installed. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
An ordinance amending Section 130.170 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri, adding facilities user fees. Obermark?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Hetzke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Pettit?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Thanks
And
for
thank
the
you, Wayne.
kind words.
Thanks.
An ordinance amending Schedule 5 restricted parking, Table 5A, no parking at certain times of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer.
This is more of a cleanup item that was identified by one of our staff on 7th Street, next to the old Spoil and Valve facility on the north side of 7th Street. There existed a no parking loading area that existed when the building was in operation. We feel that there's no need to continue to do that and allow people to park on the street as necessary. So it's more of a cleanup item. This did go to the traffic committee, and it was essentially unanimously, I guess, agreed upon to bring forth to you all.
Any questions or comments?
An ordinance amending Schedule 5 restricted parking, Table 5A, no parking at certain times of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri. Obermark?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Hetzke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Pettit?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract with Lamke Trenching and Excavating, Inc. for the 2019 Meadowlark Drive, Duncan Avenue, and Old Highway 100 overlay project in the city of Washington, Missouri.
Pettit.
Introduced by Councilmember Pettit.
So with this project came to fruition when we were working on the parking lot project here on Lafayette Street. The entrances to that parking lot would have to move. They have to be relocated, which was a pretty substantial concrete project that would have to be tore out as well. So looking at the size of that compared to the sidewalks on the block and the condition of the sidewalks within the entire block, 20% of it would have to be removed anyway. We looked at trying to package it up with a street project as well. That's kind of why it's a little bit late in the year. That was kind of the idea is get that taken care of. So in accordance with our internal policy of identifying streets based upon what's called a PASER rating on street conditions, Meadowlark and Duncan were the lowest on that list. In addition, we did add a portion of Old Highway 100 when it meets 5th Street. Everyone knows that concrete trucks pull up there and the pavement starts to kind of ravel, especially in wet years. It's kind of a low-line sub-base. So we determined that we would actually tear out that asphalt and pour it in heavy-duty concrete to prevent that from happening in the future. So it's not the entire street run. It's literally only, 150 feet of it where the trucks are actually stopping as a tear out and replace. So as you can see there, it appears I had a robust estimate, a 401, or the bids came in pretty well. So I feel the bids came in pretty well. We'd like to move forward with this as fast as possible and get this going. It's pretty straightforward as far as the paving. It's a mill and fill operation, so paving should move pretty quick. The sidewalks, like I said here, from 4th to 3rd will be removed and replaced. That might be the most substantial part of any kind of adverse effect to the traveling public.
Who's Lamprey used for sub?
Paving?
Yeah.
Paving sub? I believe their paving sub is MB West. I believe that's the case.
Sounds right.
I was just going to ask, why didn't West bid on this winter?
They did.
They did?
They bid as a sub. They bid as a sub on 2 different occasions. Yep.
Cool.
Any other questions or comments?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract with Lamke Trenching and Excavating, Inc. for the 2019 Meadowlark Drive, Duncan Avenue, and Old Highway 100 overlay project in the city of Washington, Missouri. Obermark?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Pettit?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract with SCS Engineers for the semi-annual groundwater monitoring program at the Strickoff Sanitary Landfill.
Introduced by Councilman Scornia.
This is our yearly contract to do groundwater monitoring at the landfill. There's nothing changed in the terms, no change on price. We are recommending to proceed.
Any questions or comments?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract with SCS Engineers for the semi-annual groundwater monitoring program at the Strickoff Sanitary Landfill. Obermark?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Pettit?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance rezoning 415 Cedar Street from R1B Single Family Residential to R3 Multifamily Residential in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Sullentrup.
Introduced by Councilman Scornia.
I threw a letter in the packet just to kind of remind everyone. Actually, we do have some new members. So in April, the applicant requested to rezone this property. It's the old Dr. Post.
Right.
Dr. Post, yeah, on Cedar Street, 415 Cedar. They wanted to move it to multifamily. They weren't sure at the time if there was going to be 2-family or 4-family, which that didn't really determine or change our recommendation on the zoning, because at the end of the day, the zoning's to multifamily, and a lot of that size can go up to 4 units maximum. At the time, after the public hearing, the owner requested, because there was an owner, was Ike Lamke, and then the applicant was Clay Jost. The owner actually requested to postpone it until after closing, because I guess there were concerns that it may not close. They didn't want a property that was zoned R3 if the new owner wasn't going to take it over. So they asked for a postponement. That was in May. And then since then, it has closed. They've started gutting the inside. And then the new owner actually called. It just kind of slipped my mind. You know, they never request to be put back on. They called last week and asked to finalize it. So this is just to pass that ordinance that was postponed. They will, if they go to 4 units, which they are still talking about, they will have to submit a parking plan. I've seen a preliminary parking plan that shows that they can fit 8 spaces. But it needs to be on a survey showing that it's not over right away. But that actually hangs on their occupancy, not on the rezoning. So, and if they can't meet it, if they show that it's over right away or there's some issue, then they can ask for a variance or show that they have an agreement within 300 feet to have off-street parking.
Sal, remind me, we notified neighbors back in the spring and there were no issues, correct?
There were comments at the public hearing that there was about parking. Because I think the question was, well, we don't care if it's 2 units because they could fit that in the driveway. But if it's 4, then they need 8 parking spaces. Where are they going to go? And the owner at the time said, well, I'm only doing 2, but I will go to 4 eventually, or the applicant. At this time, they said they're going to renovate it for 4, but they'll have to come to us prior to occupancy to show how they're going to make it work.
If they would even do 3 or more units, they would need R3 zoning multifamily.
Correct. Yep.
So if they have 6, like I said, they'd still need the R3 zoning, and even if they could still get 6 parking spaces in there, but if it's a stretch to get 8, then something else will have to be done or looked at.
Right. At the time, there was a question if they could park in the rear, tear down a fence and do shared parking with a neighbor, or if they could fit it all on site. So,
Drove by there out of curiosity on the way to the meeting, and most commonly the addresses are even number.
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
why.
it's not,
That
so that we are going to fix that when they get the new occupancy. It is on the wrong side, the address is on the wrong side of the street.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we,
That was before the city took over addressing.
yeah.
Dr. Post must have wanted that address or something.
Yeah, no, that can't, because when this first public hearing was, a lot of people thought we were talking about something on the other side of the street. That just
Yeah.
wasn't an address yet, so.
I just thought there was a mistake in the address, so I want to
Yep.
check it out.
Any other questions?
An ordinance rezoning 415 Cedar Street from R1B Single Family Residential to R3 Multifamily Residential in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Obermark?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Selentrop?
Yes.
Pataki?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Pettit?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a mutual aid agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and the Mid-America Region Council.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer.
You've got a letter attached to the ordinance from Lisa Moffett, our Director of Communications, and this allows them to go ahead and she can go ahead and work in a situation, if need be, for another jurisdiction. We just needed a mutual aid agreement to go ahead and approve that, and so that's what you have. I think she brought this to you at a workshop previously.
Any questions or comments?
So this is for her to work in a different agency?
If they need to, if there's something that would come up that there would be needed.
Okay.
Typically a emergency or
Emergency
something
of
along
some
those
sort.
lines.
All right.
So an emergency would have to be named in order for this to happen. Is not, we don't just automatically go somewhere because someone asked us. It has to be some kind of a catastrophe or.
I don't know if that has to be state declared or not. I could find that out for you.
I mean, I think it's fine. Mutual
Yeah.
aid is definitely a positive thing. There's no doubt about that, but I didn't know how we determine when we go and when we send people or when we don't.
Mutual aid requests would be made by the agency that you have an agreement with. We have agreements with Union, Franklin County, New Haven, so if they request a mutual aid response, then we respond yes or no. And that's made to me, so it's made to the director.
Same agreement with the fire department, too.
Yes,
Right.
there's no state certificate or involvement needed there.
And what's the Mid-American Regional Council?
That is a group of dispatching units from different agencies, so they are actually a group. So if they request of us mutual aid, Lisa, the Director of Communications, is the only one that can respond, because she's the only one that had the certifications. However, if we needed them for an emergency or a major incident, she could request them, and they would come.
Great.
Goes both ways.
Yes.
Mutual aid goes both ways. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a mutual aid agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Mid-America Region Council. Obermark?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Selentrop?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Yeah.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Pettit?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance amending Section 600.110 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri relating to licenses for manufacture of intoxicating liquor.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer. we didn't have this.
Yes, correct. As Mary's letter indicates, with the, there's a lot of distilleries that have been coming up. We've got one that's slated to open up off of Jefferson Street at the old car wash there. They are just manufacturing at that location, correct, Sal? That's correct. So we do not have a liquor license that would, for anything over 22% by weight. So this takes care of that. We just did not have one on
Not
the.
by volume,
By
by
volume.
weight. huh?
By weight. By weight.
Any questions or comments?
Will that be 50% by volume?
Will that be what?
Don't know.
I was gonna wonder, what's the?
That's a question that we need to
translate?
For the
address.
privilege of manufacturing, Mark, I'm going to refer to him. I think he provided us with the ordinance. I'm going to punt to him.
There is a technical answer to that, but.
Right.
Question?
Is it 22% by weight is what the ordinance reads, but is it, that means 50% by volume?
Don't ask me. It's,
What?
What? The existing code said non-intoxicating liquor or intoxicating liquor not in excess of 22% of alcohol by weight. That was the existing, not in excess. So all I did was add another provision that said in excess of 22%.
If you are, you got to pay $100 to get a license for it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have,
It's $100.
you wouldn't have a
either way.
license.
If you're manufacturing intoxicating liquor at all, it's going to be $100.
Never seen alcohol by weight.
So anything over 22% now.
Look that one up.
Anything.
Google that
And if you're manufacturing intoxicating liquor either less than or over 22, which is everything, it's $100.
And don't drive afterwards.
Well, if you're
That goes without
manufacturing
saying.
only, you're not sipping your own product, I guess.
Oh, you
it's
got to
okay.
try it.
Well, it says for selling, it doesn't say for consumption. Personal.
Any other questions or comments? I wonder if they'll bring us a sample or something.
An ordinance amending section 600.110 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri relating to licenses for manufacture of intoxicating liquor. Obermark?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Sullentrup? Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Pettit?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance amending section 220.020 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer.
So as discussed earlier this evening, we did receive some bids/proposals for some recycling operations. I did look at the past 5-6 years' worth of budgetary items for the recycling operation. It does get subsidized by approximately $250,000 a year. That does include composting as well. So when I say recycling, I inadvertently put composting in there as well. So looking at that and trying to make the fund much more solvent and try to put the monies where they should go, we're just requesting just a change in the surcharge. Now, that does not change what you pay at the landfill.
Tipping fees.
It's $80 is $80. That's as simple as it gets. But it just changes how it's broken out in which sub-fund, I guess, because it's all under the solid waste fund, but which that goes into. So we're just trying to at least put the monies where we believe they should go. And that's what this does.
Previously, it was broken down to $77.50 per ton and $2.50 per ton for the recycling.
Sorry.
Any questions, comments?
An ordinance amending section 220.020 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri. Obermark?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Wessels?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Pettit?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Commission, committee, and board reports. Preliminary plat, MB subdivision.
This is a fairly simple subdivision. This is a lot at the corner of 3rd and Penn. It's a fairly large lot in size. It's over an acre. It actually was 3 original lots of the Basora subdivision. They are wishing to break off a piece to the rear to create a new buildable lot. Again, you can see here, it's all zoned R1B, single-family residential, which allows down to 6,000 square feet minimum lot size. The proposed plat shows the existing home to remain accessing off 3rd Street, and then a proposed lot, which will be Lot 2, off of Penn Street. And the minimum lot size here is 6,000 square feet. You can see the proposed is over 9,000 square feet. So they're well over the minimum. They do show a 25-foot setback from the proposed property line and the existing homes. There won't be any issue there. Then just to show what the existing lots look like, you can see the 3 original of Basora. And actually, if you take one of these original lots that exist today, they're pretty much mirroring this along Penn Street. And so we're recommending approval. We think it fits in with the orderly fashion of the original neighborhood, and we don't think it increases the density too much.
Do you have to keep the 25 and the 6 on the sides then, from the house that's there now?
From to the north or to the south?
Yeah, the north and the east. Is that what the yellow line represents, 6 feet from the property line?
Yeah, so they'll have to have a 6-foot setback from this northern property line, 25 from the rear, and 6 from this new. And then the front yard setback actually can match the existing here.
Okay.
So, and there's no performance agreement because they have all their public utilities already there. So.
Any questions or comments?
All right, thank you.
I get a motion for the preliminary plat.
Well,
Motion.
Second.
okay, we have a motion by Hydridge, seconded by Holtmeyer to accept this item into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna abstain.
By your vote, you've accepted the item. Thank you.
An ordinance approving the final plat of MB subdivision Plat 1 in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilman Patke. It's the ordinance that follows the previous item. Any questions?
An ordinance approving the final plat of MB subdivision Plat 1 in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Obermark,
Yes.
Scornia,
Abstain.
Sullentrup.
Yes.
Patke,
Yes.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Wessels.
Yes.
Hydrich.
Aye.
Pettit.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Mayor's report.
Just a reminder that we are rescheduling our October 21 meeting to October 28th. Also, there will be a group of us going to St. Charles, Illinois in October for the National American Bloom Symposium. And so we'll be inviting them to Washington next year while we're there. So that'll be good. We have a video and everything to show, but we're saving it for now. And so anyway, so it should be good. We have a very nice video to show. So that's really all I have. This weekend, the Rotary District Conference is here in Washington, being held at Jesuit Hall and
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday. Jesuit Hall and the Farmers Market. So there should be quite a few people in town.
Any idea how many people?
I don't.
150.
150? Okay.
Is that a good number?
It's one of the bigger conferences, I think,
I
this
saw
year,
it.
isn't it?
Great.
A lot more attendees.
So should be good.
Visible flames.
City Administrator's report?
The administrator's report.
The only thing I have, we're working on the end of the budget year, which includes performance evaluations for all the employees. Supervisors are working on those. And trying to get ready for next year's budget. We've got a lot of projects specifically in the Parks Department that are going to, that are budgeted this year due to the capital improvement sales tax. So we'll be working diligently to go ahead and try to get those out for bid. So that's all I have.
Council comments.
Any comments?
The only comment I have is this is recognition for the National POWMIA, which is Friday up at the Crow Park. Whoever can show up, be great. Veterans probably be really appreciative.
Very good.
one thing for Wayne, when they cleaned off the trail down below my house, down below there, they just piled the sand off to the side up in piles. And now the weeds are growing over it. If somebody's gonna brush hog that, they'd hit them piles and if we can, in your spare time, spread them out. It'd be great.
Yes, I know we have plans.
You better look that up in the contract.
Thanks.
I'll make a comment for Wayne too. This is about a month behind here, but on Sunday of the fair, as all our guys are around cleaning up, people ask me, "Who's that guy? I don't know him." And you know, sure enough, here's Wayne on the walkway in a bright yellow shirt. I said, "That's our parks director." Well, our parks director's supposed to drive around in a golf cart and just do nothing all at the fair. Well, yeah, that's what we used to do, but Wayne was there helping pick up trash, and I specifically told him thank you, but it is a testament to what Wayne does in the Parks Department, so thank you very much. Yeah.
Anyone else? Motion to adjourn. We don't have
I'll
an
make a motion.
executive.
Second.
Third.
Motion by Sullentrup, second by
Ready to
Atke,
adjourn before you.
and also by Joe. All those in favor signify by saying aye.